Welcome to the start of a brand new anime review series. Now, you're probably thinking, wait, you already started an anime review series with Dragon Ball GT. This is something completely different. This is something I've been planning to do for a little while, ever since I first heard about this series, part of the Isekai Quartet anime. I figured, though, why not? What am I reviewing? Cautious Hero. The hero is overpowered, but overtly cautious. Yep. This series actually aired, believe it or not, just last year. Like in October to December of last year. Like, you were thinking, wow, that's pretty recent for you to review, Nick, for you to review an anime. Yeah. Something that aired roughly 6 months ago. I've heard rumblings that there's going to be a season 2. I wouldn't be surprised, especially since these episodes actually are pretty good. Now, these following characters make a debut in these episodes. And by the way, I actually did something a little bit different compared to my earlier anime. Before I read these light novels online, this time I actually something I went to Barnes & Noble and actually bought the 2 volumes that this season is based upon. For these set episodes, they cover this book right here, Book 1. We see a debut of Resilette, voiced by the awesome Jeremy Marcelli. This is my 26th anime I've heard her voice in. Yes, 26th. Yep. We have Seiya, who, even though he's supposed to be the main character of the series, he's not the primary focus character of the series. Nope, it's Reyes. Yes. Now you're probably thinking, who are these 2 kids with them? Well, look up this book actually does list their names. The little girl, her name is Ilu. Yeah, a magician who, she doesn't show up until like episode 3. Yeah, just like 3 episodes in. And there's also Mash, a guy who is no child friend of hers. Yep, these episodes also have debut of this woman here, Aridio. Yeah, she makes debut back in episode 1. And there's also Critias, one of Seiya's trainers, and Adelia, the goddess of war. Yep, there's one other character who makes their debut in these episodes, and that's her right there, Valkyrie, the goddess of destruction. And by the way, she is not dressed like this in the anime. Nope, her outfit is not made of frickin' chains. Basically, they replace the chains with frickin' leather. That's what it looks like to me. And she's a bully. She appears in episode 5 of all things, which is also the goddess of war's debut. Basically, the things are telling us Rezu has been charged with saving this S world. Yeah, it's basically on like S missions from a demon lord. Excuse me. And she needs to recruit a hero to save the world. And she recruits Seiya. After looking through a pile of paperwork, by the way, that's how these books begin. And oddly enough, I should point out before I continue about the anime, these light novels are actually quite strange. I have never seen a light novel like this, where normally these light novels in about 5 or 6 chapters. This first book has got, I kid you not, 28 chapters. And these chapters are really short. You know how short these are? Some of these chapters range from 6 to about 10 pages. You're probably thinking, wow, that's a short book. The second book actually is slightly longer than this. And the thing is, also, here's the thing. The numbering for the chapters for book 2 picks up where the chapter for this one left off. Yeah. Believe it or not, there's like 50 chapters overall for this. This is also considered the start of the first arc of the light novels. And from what I've also heard, that by the next book, it's supposed to come out book 8. I don't know when. Apparently, the writer of the series, his name is Light Toguchi. I think it's pronounced the guy's person's name. This guy apparently says that he is pretty much caught up with his web novel. Yep, like several anime I've watched, there's web novel. Some of you probably going to be asking in the comments, have I read the web novel? No, I haven't. I have never read it. I have read a little bit of the web novel for Overlord, and boy, oh boy, this thing is so weird. Like, oh my gosh, it's such a different reality compared to what we see in Overlord. Like, there was one character in the series who actually did die. in the web novel, she survived, and she actually wanted, believe it or not, Sheltier to take her chastity. Yeah, she wanted Sheltier to take her chastity. It is by far much more darker compared to the actual light novels. Mm-hmm. Look at these are not dark, unlike, let's say, Claymore. Yep, these are actually pretty light. So, basically, Saya has got high. She basically, Ray is just basically picks him because his paper landed in her face that she could find some person she liked, and she picks him from Japan. Where from Japan he comes from, it's assumed they say it's East. They say Japan's like East area of the world. Where Japan comes from is actually never explained. Yeah, the book doesn't bother to explain it, and in case when there's the anime bother to explain it, nope. All that's known about this guy is he's from Japan, he's overly cautious, and he's got high stats. It's assuming he might be a game because a lot of the time these people who are from other worlds are actually avid gamers. That's what it is a lot of the time, but not every single time. And what's the first thing he wants to do? Like, she wants to go out and help save the world. He's like, nope, I'm going to train first. And he does this for a whole freaking week. And he starts out at level 1. This is just in the first episode. After 1 week, and of course, she gets like a little buzzer, which basically is a representation of her. Like, hey, call me when you're done. Give me a buzz. And she keeps waiting on the phone. Basically, she waits a whole week before he's like, yep, I'm ready. And they go to the world. And there's a scene both in the light novel and happens in the anime too. We're like, okay, we need money we need to go buy some armor. And this scene right here, yeah, that's actually the anime as well. Where he's like, I want to buy 3 armors. 1 to wear, a spare, and a third one for extra. Yeah, he does this both in the light novel as well. And she's like, no, that's not necessary. So I'll buy you just 1. And the outfit you see here on the cover that he wears, yeah, that's the outfit he wears in the anime, which for armor, I'm like, that's quite interesting. It's like not much different from what he normally wears. It's kind of like they just slap some armor on a leather jacket. It's kind of a bit. It's very original style for armor because when I think of armor, I think of basically like some plated stuff and like something on your chest, some on your arms. But this, he looks like a punk. He looks like a gangster punk. With this attire, especially the shoulder pads, actually quite necessary because he's got swords. Yeah, he gets multiple swords. So after getting this stuff, he goes buy some extra supplies, and he just comes across a slime, and he proceeds to overkill the damn thing, just wreck it with a bunch of hellfire. I'm like, what? Okay. After wrecking the thing, and then all of a sudden we have one of the demon generals shows up. Chaos, her name is. Yeah, she like I said to her, oh my god, yeah, she's a smoking hot woman. Like, damn, so yeah, you're basically getting surrounded by a bunch of beautiful women. And he's like, oh, we should probably run away. He's like, sure thing. And he just runs away, run away. And of course she's like, running without thinking, not a bad idea. And of course she keeps chasing him. And of course they go back to the Divine Realm to train some more. And he trains for roughly 2 days. And then they go back. And of course, apparently in 2 days, he's able to be powered up to basically take her on. This happens in episode 2, mind you. And he proceeds to, take her on briefly. Then, of course, he stabs her. Like they say, nope. Another form. He kills that pretty easily. And then he does something really stupid. Like, everybody's like celebrating the fact he defeated the demon general and the 4 heavenly kings. And Mofo Banker is like, I don't want this speech to come back. So he proceeds to take a broom, sweep all the remains up, and then he proceeds to use a bunch of hellfire in the damn thing. Yep, destroying not only the remains, but also apparently the demonic sword. I would have thought he would have kept the damn thing, probably purified it if I kept it for himself. Nope, got destroyed the demon sword. For some reason. I'm sure some people would like to get their hands on the damn thing, but nope, we have to destroy the damn thing. Okay, this happens roughly in episode 2. Yes, in episode 2. Yep. And after destroying the town, of course, they meet this girl named Nina, adorable little girl. She only appears just in the first 2 episodes. And when they first go to the town, They actually, of course, he gives a bunch of smoke bombs too, and gives her a lucky thing. And as far as I know, I don't think she shows up again. I think she does may show up. I don't know. She doesn't show up in the rest of the light novel, one I've read so far. I know that the third book has been released, and the fourth book, I believe it actually come out next month, which I'm looking forward to reading it. Especially read these books. These books are really interesting. Like, okay, time to go. And they're like, okay, how do we go next time? I was like, nope, gotta go do more training. And he proceeds to train with the muscle-bound idiot. And he trains him for 3 days, to the point where he doesn't eat or sleep. First day is perfectly fine. By the way, the guy is voiced by the same guy voices Hercule Satan from Dragon Ball Z. Yeah, same voice actor. And he's like, after finish up with him, he's like, okay. So they go out and meet their allies, which that's what introduced to. Excuse me. Episode 3 introduces Mash and Ilu. And, of course, what was the guy's name? His name was Courteous, which they reveal he was actually previously a human who was reborn as a god. Yes. So they go to the church, and apparently he was able to figure out that, oh yeah, there are zombies nearby. So, what does he do? He proceeds to, of course he wants to buy 1,000 things of holy water, deal with zombies. He wants to buy 1,000, and she's like, no, we'll just buy just 5. And what does he proceed to do? Meets the priest, and he proceeds to dump a whole thing of holy water. And everyone's like, what the heck are you doing? And just by sheer coincidence, this guy is a freaking zombie. I'm like, okay. And then of course, he proceeds to slice it up. And it's like, okay, cleanup job. And Ray's like, yeah, we gotta exit the building right now. And he proceeds to wreck the entire freaking church. None passes out, but she doesn't name the fact he was the one who wrecked the church. But there was these knights show up, and they do show up. I think he showed up again in episode 6, but yeah, it says what happens in book 2 for the thing. So he's like, okay, be the thing, so, and then of course he proceeds to, okay, the zombie armor's gonna buy, so he proceeds to drop a couple freaking meteorites on them. He figures, okay, we gotta drop a couple rockets on them, maybe we can figure in very quickly, and Reyes points out that, yeah, we don't have those. And he figures out, yeah, I kinda figured it out. So, meteorites. Wrecks them. And so he has 15,000 HP. He apparently used over 13,000. He's basically down to just minimal stuff. And he's really passed out. He proceeds to sleep. And apparently, during this period of time, of course, Els basically just comes by, and of course, Mash gets kidnapped. And what's he's been up to? He makes a whole bunch of freaking swords in his room. Just cause. Also, he's been taking Reyes's taking her hair. Apparently, because she apparently sheds like freaking crazy. This is, of course, according to him. He proceeds to take hair from her hairbrush, from under her pillow, everywhere. And then, of course, Mash, was kidnapped by Death Kana. Yes, the second Heavenly King. And they go to the Divine Realm without Mash. Proceed. And can you point me exactly where this castle is? And she points, I can't exactly, he was like, okay, perhaps you can just point me where it is and then drop me off there? You're not interfering? He's like, okay, fine. Shows what it is, opens the port up, bam. And then he proceeds to, take on the Death General. Of course, he had already, basically, thanks to his dimensional sword, which he's able to slice up the guy's freaking hand. And after finding him, and of course, dealing with his death virus, first by freezing it thanks to special bracelets he made with more of Reyes' hair. It's like, okay. And of course he tells Reyes, okay, you rescue him, I'll deal with him. Okay. And then of course, after the things, she's like, I'll leave you clear of duty. And he's like, yeah, good idea. And then he proceeds to apparently off screen beat Death Kana to death. And that's episode 4 ends. And episode 5 introduces us to 2 new characters. Valkyrie, the goddess of destruction, and, well, Eldenia, the goddess of war. Yep. So, Valkyrie's introduced, like, okay, let's have her grope Reyes, and of course Seiya does absolutely nothing to this. And apparently Shaw takes time to basically grope down her below the belt, and he's like, does she do that to you? She's like, no, she does it to everybody. And of course Adela shows up, and she's a groper too, and apparently because here she's strong, he proceeds to say, hey, yo, you, train me. He's like, and of course they look like about to fight. He's like, nah, let's have not train. Of course, he also takes time to take Mash and Adina with him to basically they can train. Mash trains with Certus, who basically gets back his courage to train. Adina's dropped off with a beautiful sorceress. What about Seele? Well, since Camp of Goddess Destruction, what about the Goddess of War, this smoking hot goth woman, who apparently is able to avoid her. And apparently in this period of time, he apparently took time to straighten her hair and make her nice. And apparently she proceeds to fall in love with him. And then, of course, like after training with him and giving him the Eternal Sword, she proceeds to like dress in a nice outfit, give some cake. He's like, nah, I'm not going to have a cake from you. And apparently she gets angry and goes on a freaking rampage. And by the way, that's the last time she's seen in book 1. Yeah. She has returned in the following book, though with different attitude. So they go off, and they go off to deal with the next thing, like go to the Dragon Tooth Village. And they get there, and, well, they get there via a magic portal. Yeah, this second series I've seen basically use a magic circle to transport people. The last one I saw do this was actually in the series In Another World on my smartphone. Aside from that, I can't think of any other ones. I have people using Gate of Return. So, first he basically used the lizard to test it out. And by the way, the guy who's actually the lead lizard, the male lead lizard, he's voiced by Chris Guerrero. You know, I know his voice because of Overlord. That's how I know the guy's voice. And this is another. He was also in Another World on my smartphone, which he was in there for like one episode. Yep. I've heard him in a handful of series. Aside from Overlord and Another One on my smartphone, he's also in Black Clover, voicing one of the characters in that series. And I think this is like the 4th series I've heard him in. So, first transport, this is for your city is safe. Transport there, meet the Queen, and of course, Mask gets his ability to transform into a dragon. And this is like, nah, you're not going to transform. We're going to make you into a freaking sword. Just cuz. And they proceed to have banquet for them. Yep, and while of course the Mash and Reyes drink wine, Seiya doesn't. He looks like he drinks water, whatever. He's offered to eat some cookies. And of course he doesn't trust the cookies, so yeah, and then he's like, yeah, when of course he put her in the office to sacrifice to make this particular sword. Of course, Mash tries to stop, but lucky enough he was paralyzed. Yeah, like, oh yeah, proceed with caution. And Seiya's like immune to it, and it turns out the reason why he's immune to the poison is because he never ate it. Because pretty much 5 seconds after he's seen eating it, he just spit the damn thing out. Because he's always cautious. And then the Queen, for some strange reason, decides to strip naked. Yeah, she stripped naked. Because she's going to transform. Like, okay. Now, these dragon people basically wear clothes. At some point, she apparently stripped naked. We don't see her stripped naked. And then she turns into her dragon form. Seiya fights, and then of course she goes to the ultimate form. Seiya proceeds to basically slice and dice her, just so he can push her off the frickin' side. Yeah, and of course he also took time to basically slice her wings. Falls down, transforms into a sword. Everyone he keeps coming, yeah, this is the actual thing. Nope, it's not the actual sword. And of course, Mash, of course, is with Elena. It's implied these two have a thing for each other, but yeah, I want to talk to each other. And it's also revealed that he also took time to make Dragon Killer swords. And of course, the Queen herself is actually shocked to see he has it. And he, of course, asks, like, did you put him back? He's like, yeah. He brings out into like 2 dragon swords, like, yeah, always to make a spare. And Rey's like, how did you make those swords? I took 100 strands of your hair while you were sleeping. She's like, what? What'd you do that for? Yep. And after knocking her off making the sword, and the other 2 go off, of course, she's like, did you do anything else to me while you take my hair? She's like, no, I'm not that type of person. And then, of course, the episode ends, basically leading directly into episode 7 with the debut of a certain emperor and his daughter, his smoking hot daughter. Yep, this is a fun series to watch. It's just somewhat hilarious, and it's like, okay, let's have the main character overdo it with his freaking kills. Yeah, this is the first series I've seen this where the main character is basically not an idiot per se. He is just so, he's basically paranoid. And I'm like, okay, I get the fact that the paranoia actually can be useful, but my gosh, he's paranoid about everything. At one point, he's convinced that dwarves basically might be monsters. Nope. And he even also was convinced basically that these first village he went to thought they were shapeshifters. Nope. He thought that for the adults, but he didn't think that for the little girl Nina. Yeah. But all in all, great set of episodes. Thoroughly enjoyed them. And I can't wait to watch episodes 7 through 12. And that'll be episode 2, and that'll be pretty much it for this review series right now, because I think there's season 2 coming, I'm not sure, but I wouldn't be surprised. It's a fun series. Yeah. But who voices some of the other characters in this series? Let's see. Let's see here. Aside from Jay Marcelli, Say is voiced by Andy Bowen. I'm not familiar with him. Mash is voiced by Chris Truman. Ilulu is voiced by Sarah Windhart. Erdina, the goddess of sealing, she's voiced by Marissa Lennon. Cordelia is voiced by Chris Roger, guy who voices Mr. Satan. Ishtar, the leader of the gods, voiced by Jessica Cleavage. Valkyrie, Caitlin Barr, the goddess of war. Alexis Tipton, yep, one of the handful of series I've heard her in. And she's particularly quite fun. Yep. But there's still more characters going to make a debut in the next episodes. I can't wait to discuss them. And surprisingly, I haven't heard anybody voiced by Christopher Sabat or even Sonny Surratt or even Todd Heppercorn. Usually those three tend to see pop up in a lot of Filmation dubs. Not this one so far. So far the first one I recognize is Young Marcelli, which that's not that surprising because I already knew about her appearing in the series. Everybody else, well, Alexis, I'm actually familiar with her, but the rest of the cast, I'm not all familiar with them. But this series so far is really good. Looking forward to, like I said, episode 72, which will be episode 2. Okay, so that's it for the particular review. And that's probably going to be it for video today, unless, of course, I manage to get this done today. If I do, great. Then, well, I'll just basically finish up and continue with more Dragon Ball GT tomorrow, okay? Just next video. Bye.